Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's December 7th and I'm out here in the workshop again. Let's take a look at what's going on. I'm working on potting up a few plants that I've got in my greenhouse. Now, this is rhubarb, and you can see they're at different stages, but these are really, they should be really far beyond where they are. And this one here, I don't know if I'm going to separate it, but it looks like there's a couple of them there, and I might need to do something about that. But this rhubarb was actually started in small cell trays, 72 cell trays, and it was started back in June of this year. So it should be really past this, but it sat in those trays for so long, never did get back to it. And then finally I potted the ones that survived, because a lot of them died, potted them up to 1 gallon pots. And of course this here is my little mango tree. It looks like it's ready. It wants to go into a bigger pot, so I'm going to go ahead and pot it up and maybe center it more in the pot too. But let's get into this. Okay, we're going to plant these up in 2 gallon pots. And there's anytime you start planting up, first thing, and just because these are in pots, the wind will bring all kinds of seeds in. It's just amazing how much we get in there. So go ahead and any weeds, seeds you have in there, go ahead and get rid of them. Now what I've done is I've filled this pot up till I get it pretty close to the level I want. Now the key is to know when to plant these up, because you want to, and these roots are dark, you can see them here, but you want to plant it up, and we're going to turn this where it's going to be in the center of the pot. As soon as the roots start getting to a position to where they start outgrowing the pot, if you're trying to get size on it quickly, you don't want to limit it in its pot size. Of course, you don't want to go too big all at once, because I'm not going to say it's going to be afraid of being in that different environment, but you don't want to have it just outgrow that pot right off. And it's just simple procedure. And as always, I'm using my third part wood chip compost, third part peat moss, and a third part perlite, and that's it. Now we don't want to bury this any deeper than where we started, and it looks like it's happier now. It just really seems to be happier. But anyway, this mango, we started this seed October 3rd, and so right now this is the progress for this. It's really doing good. The other one is still small. It can stay in its other container a little bit longer, but this one we're going to go ahead and get to a bigger one. Now we're going to talk about this rhubarb. Now I've grown rhubarb before from roots, and I've grown it from seed, but I've never really taken care of it like it needs to when I grew it from seed. Last summer, it actually didn't get near enough water. It needed to be where it was a little bit more shaded in the evening. So location's important when you're here in the south and you get these high 90s or 100-degree temperatures. You want to be able to keep some of that heat off it, and it's best if you can do it where it gets evening shade. But when you know when it's time to start potting it up, when you start seeing these roots climbing out, and eventually they'll turn brown because they'll get air pruned, because they just can't stay in the oxygen. So when it gets to that point, it's time to pot these up. All right, I think that's going to work real well here. We're going to try to get this out, and you can see these roots are really they're really wanting to go to a bigger container. And if I limited it and stayed here, it should be the same thing as it was when I had it in the little cell tray. Is the roots didn't have any room to go. They didn't get enough even moisture because you have to water real often, and then in the heat it kind of loses moisture quick from evaporation. So you need to consider that when your plants get bigger, especially when they get bigger, that they have an environment that's conducive to growing, because that's what you want. I mean, if you keep it in a small pot, it's going to be stunted. And that's, there's a lot of people that have to grow in containers, and you really want to watch it, really watch your water, different things like that, your nutrients, because you don't want it to, I mean, that's its environment. It'd be like letting your fish run out of water or not feeding it, like you should. It can't go out and hunt somewhere else. I mean, it'll try to put out roots out the bottom, and sometimes they do root into the ground. But you want to make that effort to take care of it. And don't be afraid to talk to your plants. I say that all the time. You might think it's silly, but those of you that do talk to them, you know that it appears that they like it and grow better. But anyway, it's kind of that simple as far as to pot these up. Once I took these out of their cell trays, and it's probably been I don't know, it might have been a month, and they just really jumped in size because they had the nutrients in there, and they were able to stretch out their roots. And that's something that you need to be able. They need to have that extra room, and they need to have that extra nutrients. And like I say, when you water, you don't have to water quite so often, because the media has a bigger reserve of moisture, so those roots can reach out there and get it. But this will be the only pot they'll go in. And I have these in my greenhouse, where I say greenhouse. Now it's actually a Gothic high tunnel. So when it freezes outside, the temperature drops inside. So what I'll do, I have these where I'll cover them with some rope protection, and that'll keep the temperature up a little bit, and hopefully these will stay green and go all the way into the spring. Now if they do freeze, as long as the roots are in good shape, it doesn't freeze the crown off to where it's going to kill the plant, then these will come back. But like this, and it's not that hard to keep them warm enough in my area, but with it nice and green like this, whenever it comes springtime, they'll be ready to grow and start going. Now this will have to, actually I'll have to wait a year or so to start harvesting this, and they say 3-year-olds a lot of times, but it's not necessarily the age, it's the size of the plant. So if the plant gets well established, if it's got good fertile soil, everything like that, then you'll be able to harvest a little bit off it earlier. My intent is to get me a little rhubarb patch started from these, but like I say, it's going to be one of those things that I need to focus a little bit and take better care of. But anyway, I hope you found a little bit of knowledge in this process. I hope that you get out there, get your hands dirty. If you want to see more of my videos, well, of course, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you're going to be notified, give it a big thumbs up, and share this video. Enjoy your gardening.